President Trump just announced what's happening with his reciprocal tariffs that were supposed to take effect tomorrow, August 1st. Just a short time ago, he signed this executive order listing all the countries and all the reciprocal tariffs that they will pay. Those tariff rates range anywhere from 15% to 41%. But surprise, the executive order says the tariff rate doesn't technically start tomorrow. The order says these tariffs will specifically impact goods entered for consumption or withdrawn from warehouse for consumption on or after 12:01 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 7 days after the date of this order. So it appears these new tariff rates only apply to goods that leave warehouses 7 days from today. On top of these rates, the executive order says if the Commerce Department discovers that one of these countries is trying to avoid these tariffs by shipping their goods instead from another country to the United States, they will get an additional 40% tariff slapped onto their import. Now, there are several glaring omissions in this executive order. Mexico, Canada, and China are not listed. Those are the three biggest trading partners of the United States, so they're kind of important. So I'm going to go through what we know about each of them and why they are not named in this executive order. Let's start with Mexico. Trump announced this morning that the August 1st tariff deadline would not apply to Mexico because his people are still working out the details with our Mexican trading partners. That trade deal is complicated, so Trump is going to delay Mexico's tariff deadline for another 90 days. Same goes for China. We know Trump's trade team met with the Chinese trade delegation in Sweden for 2 days earlier this week. Now, no trade deal came out of that meeting. Right now, tariffs on Chinese imports into the United States are sitting at 30%. But if no deal is reached by August 12th, those tariffs on Chinese imports could skyrocket. Now let's talk about Canada, the United States' largest trading partner. Canada is not part of this executive order at all. Instead, Canada got its own executive order, which President Trump signed today as well. Today, he raised the tariff on Canada from 25% to 35%. Why? According to the White House document, because Canada has failed to cooperate in curbing the ongoing flood of fentanyl and other illicit drugs, and because of Canada's continued inaction and retaliation. Now, the facts are, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, less than 1% of fentanyl came across the Canadian border into the United States. As for the retaliation, the White House says the tariffs Canada is now putting on U.S. imports in response to Trump's tariffs is seen in the eyes of the president as retaliation. So we're going to have to wait and see how Canada responds to this new 35% tariff rate. Now, let's talk about some of the other tariff rates on the U.S.'s other big trading partners. There will be reciprocal tariffs, according to this executive order, on Vietnam of 20%, 15% on Turkey, 19% on Thailand, 20% on Taiwan, and 25% on India. Think about all of the things that we get from those countries: clothes, electronics, medical equipment, just to name a few. The cost of all of that is going to go up. Maybe not tomorrow specifically, but certainly by the time those goods arrive in the United States, which could be anywhere within the next few weeks or next month or so. So how is this going to impact you? I don't know how many more times I have to say it. Foreign countries do not pay for tariffs. The American importer pays for the tariff, and that cost gets passed down to the American retailer and to the American consumer. That's you. The fact is, we are already starting to see prices going up for consumers. The Producer Price Index, which was released today and is the Fed's preferred gauge for inflation, found inflation in the month of June was up 2.6% compared to June of last year. That's on top of the Consumer Price Index, which found inflation for consumers in the month of June was up 2.7%. Those numbers are going in the wrong direction. They're going up, not down. And they are in part a result of Trump's initial small tariff rate of just 10% across the board for most countries. The tariffs we're talking about now that are going to take effect tomorrow are 15, 20, 40%. That's double or quadruple what we're dealing with right now. And whether you want to believe it, that cost is going to come for you.
The evidence seems to be mostly not paid only to a small extent through exporters lowering their price. And companies or retailers, sort of people who are upstream, institutions that are upstream from the consumer, are paying most of this for now. Consumers it's starting to show up in consumer prices, as you know, in the June report. We expect to see more of that. And we know from surveys that companies feel that they have every intention of putting this through to the consumer. They may be less than people estimate, or more than people estimate. They're not going to be zero. Consumers will pay some of this.